quick introductions. My name is Daniel Silverstein. I'm co-president here at Liteline. If you're on our webinar, I'm sure you either know me or know of me, which is great. And I've been at this now, by the list, I'm in the lighting game since I finished university in 2004. So 21 years of this. And it's been really cool. Kind of halfway through that, this whole LED thing came out. And for those of you that were around at that time, I remember the questions were always, especially in the early days, was always like, oh, LED, does that mean that it changes color? Because like back in like 2010, 2012, that's where our head was. Like LEDs were like color changing lights. And I remember like thinking and saying to a lot of people that, yeah, we can make the LEDs change color, but how are you going to control it? Does anybody really want to have like a slider box on their wall to control all the different colors? So that's kind of been like the story of the last 15 years is like we sort of put color on hold and we said, okay, can we just work on getting whites done properly? You know, good quality, high CRI whites, enough light to actually illuminate the space. And here we are in 2026, and it's okay. Whites are under control, efficiency is under control, color consistency is under control. Let's go back to that color story and say, okay, now how do we do some really exceptional stuff that the LED itself is capable of, but how are we going to control it? So DMX is not a new control system. It's been the standard in the theatrical industry for like my whole life. I think the original standard was written back in the 80s and it's been updated like in the last time it was really updated was like in the late 90s. And it's a digital communication system. So similar but different to Dolly. I'm not going to go teach all of DMX right now, but the high level is that you have two things coming in. You've got power and then you've got a digital signal, and that digital signal tells basically each color like what to do. And in our scenario, it's like dimming. It's what percentage dimming do you want it from 0 to 255. The main difference between one of the key differences between Dolly and DMX is Dolly is like super slow. It's 1200 baud, while DMX is like 44 hertz. It's 44 cycles per second. So you can get really quick performing, high performance stuff. It's what gets used on Broadway, Les Mis, The Lion King, how like really anything performance oriented, DJs, nightclubs, they're all using DMX for theatrical performances. So the performance is really good. What our innovation is today and what I'm presenting is we can now use what was limited to the theatrical world for general purpose illumination. So we can build the same fixture. I got our Lunas right here. That is, it looks like a traditional downlight that performs properly with white lighting, and you can supplement it with full colors, and then we can do white tuning and all kinds of other stuff. So your key features are fine-tuning, high-performance, digital control over your fixtures that's hardwired. We're not dealing with all the connectivity issues we have with wireless communication. Each fixture is individually addressable or groupable through DMX start addresses. If you don't know what that is, I can explain it or we can talk later. Why super stable? If it's good enough for Broadway, it's good enough for whatever projects you guys are working on. And smooth, reliable, fast dimming down to 0.1%, and it's hardwired. So it is, again, rock solid stability. We are not reinventing the wheel when it comes to communication protocols or wireless or anything like that. Just plug it in and it works the way it's supposed to work every time. So what are we doing? What is what's the like main kind of story here? The main story is our key innovation is this box. Oh, is that even showing up right here? I don't know. It's a DMX decoder box. So basically, the way DMX has always worked for strip lighting, tape lighting, theatrical lighting has been on a constant voltage architecture. I think this might be the next slide, and I'm jumping ahead. Yeah, we're going to do this slide first, then we'll jump backwards because just the story makes sense. So it's always been on a constant voltage architecture. And so what that means, without going like too deep into it, is that you needed the same power on each channel from the same drive. So that would mean that if we had like a 3-watt red, a 3-watt green, a 3-watt blue, the white lights also had to be 3 watts, which is fine in a theatrical application when it's okay if your track head is like, if you guys have ever seen DMX track heads like on Broadway, they're like that big, right? They're like 8-inch cans because you need massive amounts of power in order to get the whites to work properly. That's just the way constant voltage works. Our step lights work that way. Our linear stuff works that way, and it's kind of the same thing on tape lighting. Is it all has to be the same power. Our innovation that we're presenting today is that we can do DMX with constant current. Okay, it's a lot of words. What does that really mean? What it means is that out of this fixture, we can get like 2 watts on the red, green, blue channel and 10, 11, 12 watts on the white channel. So you get like 1200 lumens of white, so it's good for general illumination. And then you can kick it over into color space and you're getting red, green, blue. We can't really talk in lumens because it doesn't make sense there, but we can talk in watts. So out of the same fixture, 1 COB, you get like 10 watts of white and 3 watts of RGB. So that means that our fixtures don't look like weird, big, theatrical kind of monster cans that are painted black and have to be hidden. You can bring it right into like your regular architecture. And what we do, I don't know if it's going to show up here or not, is we can individually, it's not going to show up, but basically we can individually set the current per channel. So we can say, hey, we want 350 milliamps of white and 100 milliamps of RGB on the same fixture. Super cool. What this slide is telling us is how the thing works in the architecture. Basically, we're still starting with constant voltage. So you've got like a 48-volt power supply that supplies 48 volts up to 100 watts. And then that's 1 per kind of 100-watt load bank, if you want to call it like 10 fixtures of Lunas. And then each Luna fixture or DINE fixture or whatever fixture has a decoder. So the way you power it is you've got AC power coming into here, your 120 to 277 volt into a regular 48-volt power supply. You get 48-volt DC coming out, and then you run 2 separate wires, which are your DMX digital wires to your DMX controller. Can we go back 1 slide? So what are we actually building? Almost our entire product portfolio is going to be available by DMX control. So and it's everything you'd expect out of Liteline, which is high quality white light, 95 plus CRI white that can be supplemented or switched over to full red, green, blue, which allows for precise color mixing independently or grouping fixtures. For those of you that are DMX experts, it is RDM compatible, so you can set it remotely. Smooth transition, fast response times, and like rock solid stability. Let's jump forward 2 slides. Controls, big story. We today, ask me at the end of the year, but today we are not providing controls, but it is compatible with any standard DMX control system, whether it's as big as Nickelodeon, so you're doing like, exterior architectural wall washing of color. Now you can bring the pendants, the track lighting, the lobby lighting onto the same thing and make that a single architectural story. Or you're doing smaller stuff with Crestron or even residential stuff with Control 4. Any system that has a built-in DMX controller, will work with our fixtures without any extra drivers or software or programming or whatever. So basically, if the control system talks DMX, you can now bring our lights into that environment. Next slide. So great applications for that, where we've been asked a lot, is house of worship, museums, really any place where like the user experience is looking for something high performance out of the lighting. Up till this point, you've had the stage lighting has been DMX controlled, but the house lighting is on 0 to 10 or on dolly, or even sometimes just on dimmers. And we've had lots of people asking us saying, hey, we want to bring the audience experience as part of the stage production. So can you do our cylinders? So like we already have a DMX SKYE on staff that does all the stage lighting. We want to start bringing the corridor lighting. We want to start bringing the exterior lighting. We want to bring the step lighting, the pathway lighting, the track lighting, the hallway lighting, the house lighting as part of the whole system to create a more integrated experience. Now we can do that. So it's high quality white when you want that, or it can switch over to color for performance, or just white tunability or dimming is you're not dealing with with two separate systems. With a 0 to 10 and the DMX, everything can come into the same DMX universe. Next slide. Okay, so what are we offering? Everything on this slide is shipping today in DMX. So we have our SKYE, so we have full RGB tunable white on our SKYE family, our Luna family, our Luna Pro, DINE, HELIOS, Genesis, and our PEGA and VELA, which are our linear offerings. We've got them right here. I always love showing like color and white tunability on webcams. I'm being sarcastic. I don't, because the system always messes up with it. But basically, like, we can go full white, and then you can do, if I use the red slider, and then we can do white tunability. Our fixtures go from, I forget numbers off the top of my head. It was either 18 or 2200K to 6500K. And then if that's not warm enough, you can like even add more reds to it and get super warm. It kind of looks way better in real life than it does over the webcam. But you can do red supplementation or green supplementation if you want to, or blue if you want to like cool it down, or just get like right into like full like fun spit. The camera like changes. As soon as I set a color, the camera like auto corrects for it. But basically in this board, we've got a Luna Pro, a Helios 3, Luna, and our DINE fixture all working on the same system. So full color options across here. Next slide. For white tunability, I think Genesis was not full color. I think it was white tunable only. We're going to put a pause on Genesis on the last one. That might have been an error on the slide. We'll double check. But our Sigma 2 family is tunable white. Can I get to the next slide? And then for static white, our entire constant voltage product portfolio is available. So that's our micropods, our fossil step lights, puck lights, and a few other fixtures. And it is all interchangeable. It is all compatible with DMX. And basically, we're putting a DMX decoder at the fixture level. Can I get to the next slide? What I'm really excited for, though, is our Flex series. So I think everybody on here is an existing rep or customer of Liteline. We're going to be able to do full color, individually addressable, hardwired track heads. The connector on here is wrong. It's only compatible with power gear because we need 4 conductors, 2 for the power, 2 for the DMX. But it's the same consistent system, and it's going to be our Flex 22 family. So like 2,000 lumens of white, and then like 5 watts of RGB, and then all the accessories that go along with it. So you have a complete downlight, track light, pendant family. Again, this is like some third quarter launch. Everything on the previous 3 slides is shipping today in full DMX. Next slide. Okay, cool. This is where I expect like a gajillion questions to come in. All right, can we make the presentation bigger? The slides are hard to read. I wish we would have read that earlier in the presentation. The slides are available. Either reach out to your RSM or to Maria directly, and we will get you the slideshow and the recording of this presentation, and we can work through that. Okay, Kyle asks, can you retrofit a previous install that's having connectivity issues with Wiz? Yes and no. The fixtures will retrofit, but you do need additional conductors and a control system for DMX. So if it's like control 4 or something in the home and you don't mind running wires, the fixtures will fit in there and you can retro it. If it's just like, hey, can I just plug this in and have a hardwired solution? No, unfortunately, you do need the wires and the controls. Okay, What are the max distances you can remote between the power module to DMX and the luminaires? It depends on your wire conductors. On 22 gauge, it's DC powered. Pretty long is the short answer to that, because we only need 36 volts at the fixture and we're sending 48 volts from the power supply. We have quite a lot of tolerance for voltage drop. So on 22 gauge, you're at least 100 feet. On 14 gauge, it's going to be like forever to get between the 48 volt power supply and the connector here. As far as the DMX wire, that's its own conversation. DMX has voltage drop-off specifications, but there's an entire industry of like power injectors and all those kinds of things. So that's going to be left to the control guy. What I really want to sort of reiterate on this is the kind of thing where if there's already DMX in the space, performing arts center, house of worship, that kind of stuff, and they already work with DMX, this is really exciting because it gives something else to bring into the experience. It's not the kind of thing where you want to go out and push DMX as a control system if they don't already have the controls in place, or you're not repping a DMX controls line. You're going to want to have like the controls guys working with it. Again, Liteline's not supporting the controls. We're supporting fixtures that work with people that are already using DMX controls. Okay, a question about Lutron. This always comes up. The short answer is Lutron is doing their thing with Ketra, and we're doing our things with DMX. If you have Vantage or Crestron or Control 4 and our fixtures, you're going to be able to accomplish a good chunk of what Ketra can do, but not using the Ketra app. You have to be fluent and well-versed in DMX. So I guess the question that we're saying here is, in this particular scenario, we are competing with Ketra rather than cooperating with Lutron for control. So Lutron does have a DMX control interface that works on their QS systems, but it is not optimized or recommended. They've got their way of doing the same kind of thing we're doing. So no, Lutron will not be on the compatibility list. Okay, can multiple fixtures share a single DMX constant current decoder? No. One per. It's constant current. So same reason we don't put multiple fixtures, like we don't put 3 Lunas on a single driver. It's the same reason. It's one decoder per fixture. How to obtain a copy of the presentation? Ask your RSM or reach out to Maria. She'll put her contact information in here in the chat, and she can get you this presentation. Do you have all the necessary DMX controls? No. The DMX controls are by others. On our roadmap for the end of this year, we will be building a very simple control box that looks something like this, which basically the architecture is low voltage power in, 24 gauge or 22 gauge LVT wire out that daisy chains fixture to fixture across the table. Good for like home theaters, residential, where you want some very basic controls. But in general, we are marketing this as supplementary product for spaces that already have DMX installed. Miriam, yes, we are supplying the power supply. It'll be on all the cut sheets, or it can be by others. It's literally just a 48 volt DC power supply. Okay. Okay, there's a very specific site question about interference in the DMX and flickering, and hook the negative at the gateway. Okay, Kevin, maybe take that up on the side with me. I'll just say in general, DMX is sensitive to ground, and it's a digital system, and it needs clean power. So dirty power along the DMX control lines or not having a clean path to ground on the DMX controls can cause interference. But that's all like bog standard DMX troubleshooting. The theatrical guys or DMX controls guys know how to work with that all the time. Stan asks, okay, are we compatible with existing DMX? Yes, we are 100% compatible with the DMX standard. If you're using standard DMX, then it is compatible. An existing installation, it's compatible, or new installation. We have not messed around with anything on the DMX standard. Are the fixtures self-terminating? That's a really, really, really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I believe they are. So for everybody else, this is a very good question. The DMX standard calls for a termination at the end of the line in order to prevent, backtalk and miscommunication. So the question is, at the end of the line, you have to put another daisy chain to terminate or not. The decoders are grounded, and I believe they are self-terminating, but we'll have to follow up with you on that. I'm pretty sure they are. Okay, how many DMX addresses does this fixture take? Okay, that's kind of a two-part question. So DMX is one address per channel. So our full color are all RGB, warm white and cool white. So there's 5 addresses per decoder. That being said, you can put multiple decoders on the same start address. So you can put, like, if they put, the short answer is it's 5-channel decoders for full color, 2-channel decoders for tunable white, and 1 channel for straight dimming. How is the pricing compared to Ketra? Significantly better. We'll just put it that way. Not even in the same ballpark. Roughly speaking, you should look at like double the price for full color DMX versus like our standard phase cut dimming, or it's going to be priced roughly the same as our on-cloud product. So that'll give you a good sense of pricing. And that's, so yeah, we're significant. A full installation will be significant less than a Ketra installation. Is there a wiring diagram available? Yeah, that was one of the slides previously. But long story short, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. It's 48 volts and DC in, and then you just daisy chain your 48 volts and DC and DMX fixture to fixture. But yes, we have a wiring diagram. It's on the cut sheets and slides. It's 1 per decoder. So the question was, how many fixtures go per DMX decoder? And it's 1 per. That's a really important question because we're doing constant current, and that's the magic of the whole thing. It's the same reason that we have 1 fixture per drive. And we're being very specific about, because we can put different current levels per channel. It's 1 per, is the short answer. That being said, you can put as many decoders at the same start address as you want. So they're all going to respond the same. So for instance, right here, I've got 3 downlights in the display, or I've got 5 actually. They just all have the same start address. So they're all kind of acting as a group here, versus if I go over here to the track lighting, I've got 1 track light I don't know if that's showing up or not here. But basically I can do 1 track light in green, and that one is, and then that one should be in red. So you have individually addressable there. Or with your software, you can kind of like make them work together as the same system. Just it's all in the software how you group them. But basically, you can put as many sorry, I got distracted there for a second. What am I answering? How many? Yeah, 1 fixture per decoder, and then as many. But you can set the decoders to have the same start address. If your software supports it, you can do it through RDM, or you can kind of just go to the fixture and do it manually. Okay. Is your decoder self-developed or a third-party company branded as Liteline? We co-develop everything here. I don't know if you've ever been to our facility or not, but I have a whole rant on this one. We're lighting people. I'm not the world's best die caster, extruder, painter. We sub all of that out. So the specifications for how it operates are developed by Liteline, but the actual, we're not populating SMD boards, and we rely on our contract manufacturers to tell us the best way to do that, as well as write the firmware and software that actually go on it. So it's developed for us by a third party, and the actual casing is non-exclusive, but the firmware has been the output DC channels have been fine-tuned to work with our LEDs. So, and again, the LED that we're operating is developed in-house as well. Here, I can just kind of open one up here. It's actually worth looking at because it's kind of cool if you've never played with one. Just crack this open. It's worth doing because this is part of the magic. So I don't know can we see what's going on inside there? So that's the LED that's operating it. And the pale yellow is your cool white LED. Your orange is your warm white LED. And then right in the middle are those little itty bitty tiny RGB LEDs in the middle. So you can see that it's critically important that we have different current levels driving the different LEDs in order to balance the light. And that's why we're able to shrink down what in the theatrical world is a giant can into point source lighting. So that's the same chip that's in all the different families. It's in the track light, it's in Luna, basically it gives you different optics and physical mounting options, but it's the same kind of chip all the way through the fixture. As far as the track light goes, I'll just take it apart here so it'll show what's going on here. Because it's the flex system, the back of it unscrews, and your DMX decoder is built right inside the actual fixture body. So that's just an LED and optics, and again, we can put the we can put on a pendant, we can put on surface mount, we can put it all the things you're used to with flex, and then we put one decoder per, and it only works on the power gear track because we need the bigger connector to get floor conductors. So on this particular track fixture, it's not 120 volt coming through, it's 48 volts on the track fixture on two conductors, and then DMX voltage on the other two conductors. Does the decoder and required power supply come pre-packaged? The answer to that is no, because we don't know, because you can put up to 100 watts on the power supply, and each fixture is really only 10 watts. It's one power supply per 8 fixtures, the same as any of our step lights or accent lighting or tape lighting. So it's on the right part numbers on the data sheet, but it doesn't come as a kit. What you get in the box, if it was a track fixture, would be this track fixture comes in the box. The track is sold separately and the power supply is sold separately. If it was a downlight, you get the downlight in a box with the decoder, and then your power supply is sold separately. Okay, will reps get any sample cases? I forget. Are we doing sample cases for DMX? I do not believe we're doing sample cases for DMX, but samples for the individual fixtures are available by order. What power option, Chris? What power options are available for your constant current? Is it only 100 watts at 48 volts? That's a good question. Okay, so for the power supply, that's I think we're using a Meanwell one here. This is just bog standard 48 volt non-dimmable power supply. 100 watts at 48 volts is your class 2 max. If you want to deal with class 1 issues, you can use a bigger power supply. As long as you're getting 48 volts DC, you can use whatever power supply you want. We're just supplying this one because we're pushing it to class 2 max. I hope that answers the question. If it's a different question, feel free to resubmit it. Maybe you're looking for a smaller one. Okay. What are we using to control the demo lights? Honestly, we're using the cheapest DMX slider box I could find on Amazon. Because we're not, maybe can we just use the camera? I don't know if you guys can see that. This is, here, I'll just go to zone 1, red, green, blue. And then what's fun is the warm tunability is channel. So you got cool white there. And then channel 5 really just crossfades across your warm and cool white while staying on the black body curve. So doing white tunability, like with very accurate, warm, beautiful colors, super simple. You just send your intensity on channel 4 and your and then the white tunability on channel 5. Happy to like go deeper into that if you want to, but I hope that answers the question. Because it's just standard DMX, like it was like $24 on Amazon to get one of these things. And we just use it because it's like super easy, reliable for a demo build. But you could use any DMX control. There's nothing special about it. This year, by the end of this year, I will be showing you guys something super special. But for right now, it's you really want to have an existing DMX installation or have planning for a DMX installation, and then we have all kinds of fixtures that you can add to that install. Can we manipulate the dimming curve? Yeah. So you want to like linear versus logarithmic. There's two ways to approach that. If you're using Nickelodeon or some of the more advanced systems, Vantage, for instance, they do it at the software level. The easiest way, okay, so, all right, so to answer that question I'll just repackage that question, and hopefully if I'm misunderstanding what you're asking, you just re-ask the question. This is for Julia. In dimming world, there's always a question of like, what really happens when you operate the dimming slider? And you have linear dimming, which means that like for each sort of like manipulation of the slider, the light output changes in proportion. And then you have like logarithmic dimming, which means that like it dims faster going from like 100 to 50%. And then slower from like 10 down to 1%. So like that last 10% might occupy like 30% of your dimming of the space on the actual dimmer, on the control. And that's important because like you want to like have finer steering when you're at like 0.1% versus 1% versus 2% dimming. So really like you want a bigger wheel to control your finer dimming. And like nobody really cares going from like 100 to 90% because it's almost imperceptible to the eye, whereas that last 10%, so that's logarithmic. And so the question like that comes up in a lot of other dimming systems is like, can you do logarithmic dimmings to make it more accurate? Because DMX is digital, you're sending a digital signal out to the fixture. It's not like hardwired like you would be with a phase cut dimmer or a 0 to 10 volt dimmer. So the wall box controller isn't necessarily directly connected to the fixture. It gets processed by a signal processor. So that signal processor, whether it's Nickelodeon or Crestron or Vantage or Control 4, is where you set your linear versus logarithmic dimming control, not at the fixture level. At the fixture level, we're just taking an incoming DMX value. If it says DMX value of 1, you're going to be at 0.1% dimming. If it says DMX value of 255, you're going to be at 255 dimming. So it's all here. The logarithmic, the logarithmic thing is controlled at the controls of the DMX encoding software, not decoding. Okay, Kyle's asking, do you turn them off or they cut straight out or fade to off at 0.1? It's digital. So what if you haven't here? Let me explain what that means here. Hopefully this can like show what's happening. So I'm just going to go to white here to make it kind of fun. So with this, can we see? Can we get the read on this? Is that going to work on the camera? Okay, so on this LED display, I'm going to go to channel 4. So we're now turning it on to white. That's our DMX value. So max, we're at DMX is 255. We can slide that right down to DMX value of 1. I'm at like 0.3, 0.1 right there. And you guys can kind of see here, it's just barely glowing. It's on, but just barely glowing. That's our 0.01% dimming that's right there. So the question is, does it go to off? Well, if I slide this down to DMX value of 0, then yeah, it goes to off. So again, that's okay. When you turn them off, do they fade out or do they just turn off? So if the DMX value is 0, they will be off. So the fade question comes from, again, the software, which is like, how slowly do we want to move from DMX 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0? That's where the fade takes place, is that last little bit. But 0 is off and 1 is on at 0.01%. So that's a thing where, like, if we want to have the fade off, that's your DMX control software that gets that go all the way through, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. But yeah, it's all software control. That's all on the control side. And again, for the presentation, we're not rewriting DMX controls. We're not rewriting DMX software. We're not doing any of that. We're saying, hey, if the job is already calling for DMX, house of worship performance, restaurant vantage, all of that, we can now supply a whole nother category of lighting, which is like small aperture, point source, high quality whites that works in that what was historically limited to either really big, ugly, low performance fixtures or strictly theatrical. Cool. We have no other questions. I mean, thanks so much for asking them. Okay, can the DMX schedule be pre-programmed? Yes, is the short answer. What PC interface? That is on the PC side. Whatever software they're using will ultimately go out as DMX, and then it's just 2 wires of low voltage, and it gets hardwired right into the fixture. So the DMX controller that they're using to program that Broadway show will ultimately resolve to just like a digital signal over 2 wires. And that's the interface, whatever they're sending. So I'm going to turn off. Normally I turn off my phone before starting specifications. But yeah, it'll work right with their lighting. Generally speaking, they're going to be using if you're talking about like the physical interface, they're using 5-pin XLRs. Generally speaking, for theatrical, you would just convert but most of that stuff also has bare lead, bare contact. So you just plug the wires right into whatever system they're using, and it'll just work. Stephen asks, when will the Luna DMX be available? Today. This is not vaporware. This is not phantomware. This is not like in development. This is on the shelf, and we are shipping right now. Maybe tomorrow. It's like already new. So tomorrow. It's available tomorrow again.
Genesis is full color.
Genesis is full color. Okay, cool. I have been corrected. We did that big job that was tunable. Genesis is full color or tunable white. And tunable white? Or no, the inclusive one. Okay. Any plans to offer the RGB option and a junction mount fixture like the multi? Not really. And the reason for that is you have to remember this is low voltage coming in, not line voltage. And as soon as you make a junction box, people are going to expect it to be line voltage, and then they're going to wire it up and juice it and get mad at me. So in general, no, is the short answer. There. Are you going to have set boxes like you do for the track sets? Like a kit? Wasn't the plan. Probably. So at the end of the year, when we build like our simplified wall box controller, we'll probably do an all-in-one kit with like and the wiring is so easy. It's like line voltage to this, the then low voltage in, and then low voltage out. And so odds are we'll probably end up doing like a 6-pack with a controller for downlights and for track lighting for full color. That's just sort of like an entirely self-contained DMX environment. But you know, look to us like for December for something like that. Right off the bat now, we're tackling theatrical, house of worship, hospitality kind of stuff. Specs on the website. I don't know the answer to that.
Some are, some aren't yet, but
They're incomplete. So the Luna, I believe, is up, and we are working diligently to get everything up and running. So right now, look to like your regular data sheets for a DMX control option on Genesis and Luna, etc. But we're working on building out a more complete like color section on the website where it's all in one place. So if there's anything in particular you're looking for, send it into your RSM or into our Gail, our product manager, and we can get that for you real quick. But we're working diligently to get all of our documentation updated. Cool. All right. No more questions. We're like 15 minutes past. That was like half an hour presenting, 15 a question answer, which is awesome. It means that you guys like what we're doing. So thank you for your time. We're always available if more questions show up. And by all means, keep asking them because we learn with each one that comes through. Awesome. Cool. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for your time, guys.